Hello, dear friends. I hope you're doing really well. And I want to talk a little bit about grief. If you are watching this, and whatever the stage of eating disorder or chronic dieting or emotional eating recovery you're in, grief is very familiar in terms of recognizing that throughout maybe most parts of your life, you have had to believe some partial truths or some lies in order to maybe deal with really intense internal conflicts about your value and worth, about what you thought you needed to do to be, healthy, physically. And it's really, really painful to recognize, wow, I've spent so much time believing things that weren't fully true or only, or not true at all. I believe lies about my identity, and it's really hard to come to terms with, like, oh, for me to be really free and honestly have a sound mind, I am maybe going to have to decide that I'm not a person that can, under any circumstances, like, calorically restrict to fix anything. I'm going to have to do it a way that is consistent and subtle and not just really I can't ever be a part of anything that's kind of a surface level quick fix kind of thing. And there's a lot of grief that comes with that and we're going to talk about what we lose in a second. But more importantly, I want to talk about what you gain. What do you gain from this whole process? What I've seen personally, my own lived experience, what I see from my clients who who commit to the long haul, is that they just function consistently at a higher level in life. That's socially, in their marriages, in their friendships and relationships, their parenting. There's just a higher level of functioning because the deprivation from not being accurately and lovingly seen for the needs you might have. I mean, that takes up so much energy to be in denial, to be honest. It's so much energy, even though there is pain of recognizing what the needs are, and there is pain in the conflict of what those needs mean. Eventually there gets to be a place where all of that is reconciled and you just have energy freed up for other things. People have greater emotional stability, period. We just do, when food or weight isn't a threat. The unpredictability, it's like when life changes, then it changes maybe how you have to deal with your food or your health or whatever. That's seen as like, okay, I need to make adjustments versus feeling like your stability has fallen out from underneath you. There's a whole lot less, honestly, internal pain because externally we're not chasing external validation anymore. Honestly, I know that I became, and maybe you all who are further along in the journey have recognized that you're just a more consistent and dependable person in general. There's something, this is one of my core values for sure, is truth. And what drove me all those years in recovery is that I want the truth, even if, honestly, it makes me not fit in as much, or I'd rather be in the truth and be authentic than living these false identities. It just felt so incongruent to me. I felt like life made sense, to be honest. And generally just being more free from like mental and emotional bondage, and honestly having better relationships because I could tell the difference. I had more differentiation between who is being more present and who isn't, and people who are more present can feel in our systems more trustworthy. It doesn't mean if we're struggling that we're not trustworthy. It just means that it's easier to see what's in front of you and make decisions about that. So the flip side of this and what we're grieving is we've got to grieve what we're losing. I know most people are losing when we agree to not diet, whether that keeps you in a smaller body, or it ends up, you being in a whatever average or standard or medium sized body is, or in a larger body, there's going to be the grief of just not pursuing a body in any kind of way, whether it's shape or size or fitness, that just easily blends in with the cultural norm of whatever season you're in. So, you know, unfortunately, thin is back in, but before this, you know, a couple years ago from this video, it was more important to have features that were more accentuated, let's just put it that way. Some people have it naturally, some people don't, and vice versa. And basically, you're going to become a person who doesn't make your body follow the trends. You just, your body is what it is. And there's some loss in that, because it's, for some level, it's something to do, and there's some entertainment in that. So what you end up doing is those dissociative walls come down to gain wholeness. So that means that you're not going to be able to separate from your internal or external pain like you did when you were restricting or emotionally under or overeating. And you got to deal with uncomfortable emotions as they arise. Your understanding of who you are and your past is going to change. And maybe who you thought you were, you're the thin one, you're the fit one, you're the powerful one, you're the one that doesn't have needs. All that stuff is going to come to light, and you make decisions about, like, no, I'm not my performance. No, I'm not what my body looks like. You're having to grieve these false identities, essentially. You know, you might have to grieve who maybe some of the people around you are and what they believe in, because they maybe don't have the same values that maybe you've always had, or maybe you have now, and you're going to lose some of that. Maybe you thought somebody was this really upstanding person, and to come to find out they're actually pretty judgmental and critical and hypocritical, and you didn't quite see it when you were both dieting together at the same time, and now you see it. And you see the pain underneath that, and it's hard to grieve that. You might lose some support of family members or members of different communities you're in that value over functioning or dieting as a good trait to have. And there's some loss in that of seeing that you might need to leave that space, or maybe you don't have to like fully lose the relationships, but there's more boundaries and space for sure. You know, we got to deal with grieving our worldview that, you know, thin is best. That's the best body to have, or, you know, of recognizing that maybe you valued people who are healthy and physically able more than other people who maybe aren't as much, and to grieve that about yourself and others. Maybe you're recognizing that, like, some of this disordered eating gave you a reason to hide in life. You know, maybe you're having to grieve that it's just you know, expectations of you are gonna increase because you're more well, and maybe that feels intimidating. There's all kinds. I could go on and on with the reasons and the things that we lose when we fully pursue wholeness instead of quick fixes, and really digging in and doing the work. So I know, you know, there's other things to this too. When we kind of go on this journey, we are facing discomforts. We're facing sometimes long-term pursuits, you know, of the support we need to be able to get to the wholeness that we would like. So I'm just saying all this, that oftentimes we don't talk about this part of the work, which is the grief of like false identities, and the grief of our worldview changing. It's worth it. And it's just more about setting yourself really firmly in what you will gain, and the perseverance and the compassion and the curiosity and the desire for truth that it takes to all the way. And I just bring all this to you in this video just to say that, like, if you're didn't know that there's a name for all these things, there is. If you're feeling alone with it, you're not. If you're needing more support, honestly, please reach out, because these are really tangly kind of things sometimes. And sometimes we just need a compassionate witness to help us view it all without becoming like collapsing in on it and feeling overwhelmed. So thank you so much for watching. If you like these videos, there's lots more. Also, I'm putting all the writing I've done over the last, I guess, 13 years over on Substack. So it might make it easier for you to kind of, all the stuff is over on my blog, it's all on YouTube. But I thought I'd put on another platform, especially for people who are like the want to go to one place and just scroll and see it all the articles. You know, it's about reading and listening and taking action, kind of all in one place. And there's also some bonuses over there as well. So if you're interested in that kind of platform where it's all in one spot, like literally I have like 13 years of like almost weekly writings that will help encourage you and basically mostly encourage you to take action, all right, on radical curiosity and truth seeking and compassion. So if you're interested, I'll put the link below. You can go look at all those and get started. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.